I thought that probably that was the last day for my life, because I could not run away.
We wanted to ask locals in New Zealand to reflect on the mosque attacks in Christchurch on March 15th, 2019. Has this attack been forgotten? Could such a tragedy bring any positives? Did the attacks affect the non-Muslim community? 15 days, 15 videos, marking the 2-year anniversary of the day that shook New Zealand. This is what they had to say.
Farid Ahmed, and born in Bangladesh, but have been living in New Zealand for the last 32 years. My wife, Farid Ahmed, and I started Quran class or classes in the mosque 21 years ago. These classes are still going. Since 15th of March, I feel I am responsible to talk about what Muslim, what Islam is, and also how Muslims, non-Muslims are under the same umbrella in the brotherhood. It was Friday. My wife and I, we went to the Jummah. Our plan was that we would finish the Jummah and quickly would go to Riccarton High to pick up our child. We parked the car at the back in a usually a wheelchair place for me. And then she went to the ladies' room and I went to the men's side. I was going to the main room, but after entering there is a classroom, and in there I found a brother. I won't mention his name. He was diagnosed with cancer. So I felt that I should go to him, hug him, talk to him, and do some dua for him. Usually I pray inside the main room, in front row on the right hand side, where the most casualties took place on that day. I heard the gunshots. Initially I was confused, but people who were in other rooms, they started to run away. They came out in front of me, and then they were going on my right hand side out through the exit door. The gunshot was increasing. I saw some people were running, blood on them, and then I was very, very sure that it was gunshot. I did not see the gunman. I did not know how many people were there, but the moment I realized it was gunshot and already some people were injured and running away, I thought that maybe a group of people have attacked us. And also I thought that probably that was the last day for my life, because I could not run away. But I was looking at the positive side. I was smiling when I was thinking that Allah, you gave me 21 years after my accident. Because after my accident, my medical team, they predicted only 7% chance of my survival. So I was thinking of that, and I was thanking Allah, and I was even smiling. So I decided to make a move to go out. I was on one hand trying to escape, on the other hand I was thinking I could not escape, because eventually the gunman will come and will shoot me. But I wanted to try, so I was calm, alhamdulillah, and I gently pushed myself out. And then when it stopped at some stage, then I decided to go back to the mosque. There was a brother, beside me, and he was with me. So two of us, we went in. At first went to the ladies' room to see children and other ladies and my wife, but there was no one. So I was slightly relieved that probably the children and women, they could escape without any casualty. Then I turned around, went to the main room, and it was terrible. Dead bodies were here and there, everywhere. And then some dead bodies were piled up one top of another. And I saw few people, they were still alive, few brothers. And at that moment, I quickly decided that I had to be strong for them. Because if I started crying, then it would morally weaken them. So I attended each one of them, about 6 of them, and they were amazing too. They were in pain, but they were smiling, and they said to me, "Thanks Allah that you are still alive." Seeing them so much loving, even though they were suffering, but they had love, they had smile, they had peace in them. This is something I'm very proud of as a Muslim. I'm proud that our Muslim brothers, they showed the tremendous attitude of peace and good gesture. I talked to each one of them, and at one stage, one brother, he started screaming because he realized he didn't see us, because he was facing towards the wall. So he realized that we were talking there. Then he started screaming. He said, "Please come and help me, I cannot move." The dead bodies were very heavy and they were on top of him, and he was still alive. So I got the other brother, and then he helped and managed to remove few dead bodies, and alhamdulillah he's still okay. He had few operations and he's still alive. And suddenly the special police came, and they shouted at me that I should not have been there. They thought it was more risky, and they wanted me to be out as soon as possible. One of them guarded me, and another of them was pushing my wheelchair. So they were very kind too, very humane. They told me off, but they did it because they care about me. But I could not cry at that time. I was smiling at them, and I was talking to the police that, "Relax, you and I, whatever duty we can do, we need to do, but just relax, don't be too anxious." I was waiting as other people were waiting outside the police barricade. I was the first one who received a phone call from a police officer who knew me, who knew my wife before. We were involved in few community projects together in the past. So he telephoned me and he said to me, "Farid, I'm sure she's no more, so you go home." So that was what I experienced, in the mosque briefly on that day. Emotionally, I was struggling. I was very much struggling, and it started right from the shooting. So the emotional side, I'll just go bit by bit. The first one was sudden panic and fear. And I saw fear on other people. But at that time, when I emotionally, mentally, I surrendered to Allah, that Allah, inna lillahi inna ilayhi rajiun, and now if you decide to take me, I surrender everything to you. The moment I did that, I was not afraid anymore. I felt if death comes, will come. I was happy that Now if I die, I am remembering Allah. I am in the condition of wudu. I have come to pray. I am a peaceful worshipper. I'm not a criminal here. I have not done anything wrong. So I was really, suddenly all the positivity came and my fear went away. When I was outside hiding, every shot was giving me pain in my heart. And I was struggling. What should I do? How do I react? Again, I just thanked Allah that Allah, thank you. You did not make me crazy like him. Because he screwed up, misguided. And not me. If he had understanding, then he would not have done that. With that, I actually thanked Allah, and instead of hating or getting angry, I could have sympathy for him, that Allah guide him. So that helped me. Thirdly, I was getting too much anxiety all at once. What's going to happen to my wife? What's going to happen to lots of children? What's going to happen to the Muslim ladies or men? What's going to happen to afterwards? To Muslim. What will happen to New Zealanders? Are we going to face any riots? Are we going to face any economic embargo from Muslim countries? All sorts of things, I was trying to think, and I was trying to expand my mind like a balloon to absorb more and more and more, and that was helpful because that helped me not to focus on the grieving side. That helped me to think more, and it was also good. Alhamdulillah, I managed. But the moment I heard the telephone call about my wife, that was a sudden electric shock, and I felt like I will be thrown out from a wheelchair. I'll be on the ground. Suddenly I felt like the sky is falling on me and the earth is moving away from me, and I'm sinking. And it was few desperate moments, few desperate moments. I was struggling to find a place to stand on. Then quickly it came to my mind a verse from the Quran. Yaqub alayhi salam, Prophet Jacob, when he received the news about his son Joseph, he was suddenly in shock, in grief. And in reaction to that, he said, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. I'm going to have patience without complaint. So that was my first feeling, the emotional reaction. I'm not going to complain. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Whatever Allah decides for me, without any complaint, I will face it. Then the next emotional hurdle was facing my daughter. How I was going to tell my daughter. Sister Aisha, I telephoned her and I said, you go to the school and you'll pick up my daughter. Do not tell anything. Leave it with me. I have to tell her. I don't want a third person to tell her because her mother was the closest person to her, and now she and I, we have to team up, and if we are weak in the teaming, then we'll be weak in everything. So I wanted to tell her, but what can I say? What could I say? And then again I was thinking, but I gave up. I said, Allah, I surrender to you. You give me wisdom. Like angels, they used to say, Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana. Oh Allah, you are free from mistakes, and whatever you teach us, that much we know. We do not know more than that. So I left with Allah. Then I said, I'll pray to Allah, and whatever comes to my mind at that time, I'll say. So I was waiting here. She came, and it was the most emotional moment. She asked me where was her mom, and I said, with Allah. That was the word, two words came to my mind, with Allah. I could not say dead. I could not say she's killed. I could not say, because those things would have, given me and her more pain. So, I was so pleased that Allah helped me with the right wording, with Allah. She said, are you telling the truth? I said, your dad never lied to you. That night was the longest night, most troublesome. People left around 11 o'clock. And then 11 o'clock, I decided to have a meeting with my daughter. And Aisha, she's my far relative, and also my wife's niece. So I wanted to talk about two things. We wanted to take a decision about two things. That one, emotionally, how are going to face the situation? That are we going to suffer or ruin ourselves with grieving, or are we going to turn around and be strong and do some good before we die? So that was the first question. She came up with a good analysis, and she said, we have to bounce back. We have to be resilient. The second question to her was, how should we feel about this killer? Again, she came out with a brief answer with an analysis that we should feel sympathetic, because he doesn't have understanding or loving feeling like us for some reason. If we feel sympathy, that means we can free our hearts from pain, from suffering, from anger, from grudge. I went to bed at night, and that was the time, I felt the hardest moments. It was awful. I felt I had no peace in my heart. And I then wanted to work out quickly to resume peace in my heart. What to do. Then, in crisis time, sometimes even right things doesn't come easily in our mind. I was thinking, Allah, what can I do? Then, the verse I remember, Allah said, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Seek my help with sabr, patience, and prayer. So I said, okay, I'm going to start praying. I was so dry, I could not even cry. I wanted to cry, because crying is healing. I couldn't. And then in my sujood, I was praying to Allah, Allahumma anzil sakinata fi qulubina. Oh Allah, grant peace from you in our hearts. After a while, I felt so peaceful. Even though I was emotional, I was crying, and I could, in my sujood, I could cry with opening my heart. And it sort of washed away all the absence of peace from my heart, all the fears and anxiety. By the morning, I was still crying and emotional, but I had peace in my heart. And Alhamdulillah, from then, I went out to the help center, and there, they asked me to give a talk. That how come you are smiling? And by then, no other families could know whether their loved ones was, alive or dead, because they were waiting for the police and hospital people to brief them. But they could not confirm nor deny, and these people were waiting in awful situation. I went there, in Hagley Community Center, people, I saw their faces, and I was going table to table, and I was helping them to smile. And they said, give us a talk. What is helping you to smile? So I explained them what is actually the meaning of Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Rajiun. The meaning is actually in our good thing or bad thing, whatever happens to us, we actually surrender to Allah and we move on, because we don't want to waste our moments, because we are in Allah's eyes in exam period. خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. So that's how my faith and little knowledge helped me to get the healing through the faith and set the tone of peace for others. We had earthquake, we lost our people. We had 15th of March, we lost our people, and we have shown again and again that calamity brings us closer together, makes us to reflect again who we are and how we should be. And we should celebrate these things, and we should enjoy each other as a human being. So this is the message I want to give to everyone, and this is the message you and I and every citizens of this country and every human being has a responsibility to pass to one another. We should not only depend on government. It is people. It is people's heart that bring change. It is people's manner that brings change, that brings peace, not just the legislation.